Hey guys, Saiyan here, bringing you a Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we are going to do the team building guide for the STR Goku and Gohan and the AGL Cell Extreme Z battle that is going live tomorrow or in a few hours time. This video is going live at 10 PM UK time, and the EZA comes out at 6 AM, so basically 8 hours from when this video drops, if you're watching it straight away, is when the event will go live in the game. So annoyingly, as we found out with the celebration info, it is only one singular Extreme Z battle for both of these units, which is a bit of a shame. I'm not sure why they chose to do it this way rather than have the two separate Extreme Z battles, which is what we would have expected, like when these guys got their EZAs, but unfortunately it is just the one. So we're going to go over the team guide here in a minute. We can see that the category weakness is Android/Cell Saga. Now the interesting thing about this is that Android/Cell Saga is not a huge category, but you are limited in your options, because as we know, right, with these 30 stage EZAs, you can see here, as you start to get through the stages, certain characters start having massive damage reduction applied to them in terms of their damage output. And you can see here the final buff is that certain units will be doing 80% less damage, which essentially makes it to the point that if, you know, unless they're a tank that's on your team in order to like take hits, there's no point running them because they're just not going to be doing damage. And for this event, it's Super In, Super STR and Super Physical, and then Extreme STR and Extreme Physical. So basically only Super AGL and Super Tech, and then Extreme AGL, Extreme Tech, and then Extreme Int are the characters that we're actually going to want to run in the team. So obviously we will go over that as we discuss the options, but you can see here you switch between fighting the Goku and Gohan and the different versions of Cell all the way up until the buff Cell at the end. Obviously you fight Gohan for the last couple of stages. You fight Goku, then Gohan, and then the different forms of Cell. That'll give you all the medals to EZA both of them, as well as some Kais for both of them as well to get them to SA15. Sadly, again, as we say, only one Extreme Z battle, so only the 30 stones for beating the stages, and then there will be the missions to clear as well. I don't know if it does it show them on this page. Yeah, so it's literally just the 4 extra stones for doing the whole thing. So 34 stones in total. So if we switch over to the actual category here, we'll go through some of these units. As always with my team building guides, I will go through my top picks and honourable mentions for the team. If there's any units you think I missed out or should have talked more about, do let me know down below in the comment section. And if you find the guide helpful at all, do of course hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So we'll go ahead and jump in straight away and talk about a couple of the leaders. So obviously the AGL Cell himself, the one getting the EZA, has an Android/Cell Saga leader skill. Of course, being an AGL character, he's got type advantage over the Goku and Gohan in the first few phases. So he's a good option to choose. There's a couple of different builds you could make for this team. One of them is to go down the largely Android based build. And so it makes a lot of sense to use this guy as the leader because obviously his extra 30% is for androids. So if you build a team that is entirely Android/Cell Saga Android characters, then obviously they will all be getting the full 200% leader skill from this cell. Now, bearing in mind Extreme Z battles are not at the highest level of difficulty, they usually only last for like 3 or 4 turns. Obviously the early phases, a lot of the time you're just going to be one-turning them. So it does mean you're not going to see this guy transform all the way up through his forms. So really he's just there to be the leader. He'll still do decent damage and tank decently well after attacking, even in the later AGL phases, but he's mainly there as the lead, and then a unit that doesn't go in slot 1, but will be able to do some fairly decent damage throughout the course of the stages. Then obviously we have the Tech Super Trunks. This guy has Android/Cell Saga as one of his 170s, but then he has Rapid Growth or Earthbred Fighters. So the other kind of build you can go down is obviously having a bunch of the Saiyan characters, like the Goku and Gohan themselves, a couple of other units from that particular part of the saga. The problem is, of course, again, is the typing restriction, right? Because you've got characters like the Super Saiyan 2 Gohan from the Anniversary, who's a physical unit, but he's one of the units that will be getting the 80% reduced damage. And since he is basically just a damage dealer, like, you could throw him on the team and he'll still be able to tank hits well against the Cell towards the end, but he just won't be doing any damage, which is very unfortunate. So I do think the androids build for the team is probably the best way to go, but we'll talk about some of the other units and options as well. Of course, we have the Int LR Perfect Form Cell with his EZA. So he has an Android/Cell Saga 180 lead. So if you want to mix and match the units, because you can't make a full, like, really good build for androids or for, like, Hybrid Saiyans and Trunkses and Gohans and stuff, this guy would be a good option, because rather than having a unit, if you're going to have a mix and match of these different types of units, depending on who you're running as the leader, a lot of them would only be getting the 170 lead, whereas obviously this guy just gives a full out flat 180 lead to everyone who is on Android/Cell Saga. So you could have him as your leader and be running another Cell, and then obviously have as a different rotation, like the Goku and Gohan and the Super Trunks or something like that, for example. So this guy makes a good across the board Android/Cell Saga leader. I mean, obviously the other two that we talked about, like, they're still giving everyone 170. So you can obviously weigh up depending on who you've got on the team. Like, if half your team is androids, it's probably still better to run this guy so that those units are getting 200% and then the non-androids are getting 170, rather than run Int Cell and everyone be getting 180. But it's down to you and what's in your box. Obviously this guy is one of the typings that can still do damage, so he's worth bringing on the team even if you're not using him as a leader. So then in terms of, like, the Saiyan type characters, we've obviously got this AGL Youth Gohan. He leads Kamehameha, but that's not really the best for, like, an Android/Cell Saga team, although the cells are on there, a few of them, so that could work relatively well. So he definitely could be a solid option. He raises defense on super with either of his supers. It's not a long event, so you don't really need to worry too much about infinite stacking. You could actually, I guess, get his transformation technically in this EZA, right? Because for an Android/Cell Saga team, you could be running an Android 16 on the team, but I guess you have to drop to 58% or less HP. So it's still very unlikely, but AGL Gohan could be somewhat good in the event, I guess. And then we have, like, the Tech LR, the Super Saiyan Goku and Gohan. I really liked this unit when they first came out. Unfortunately, they aged very quickly because they're just a straight up, like, damage unit. They don't have the best defensive tech, but it's a really cool, like, what if moment card. Obviously Goku still being there for the father son Kamehameha. Gohan goes Super Saiyan 2. Like, it's just really good, right? So good card, but regardless, useful in this because they're super tech. Be useful against the Cell fights in the later phases. We also have this free to play Goku, who was a previous April Fool's card. He's actually pretty solid, especially on a team if there's another Goku family ally. So if you are running, like, the AGL LR Gohan and that Tech LR Goku and Gohan, this guy can work really nicely on the team. Heals you at the end of the turn for the first 4 turns, which anything that gives you a free bit of healing in the AZA when you can't use items is pretty good if you are finding it a little bit tougher. So this guy's pretty good as well. I think in terms of the, like, Saiyan class characters, that really is it, because the big problem is, again, it's super, int, physical and STR all get this massive damage reduction from their attack, right? So characters like the STR Goku and Gohan, that Super Saiyan 2 Gohan from the anniversary, in LR EZA Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, who's a really good support, like, there's not much point running them on the team because they're not really going to be able to do damage. I guess the Gohan for the support, the int one, could be okay because he's just buffing everybody else. But that's why I think the androids build is probably slightly better, right? Because then you're getting characters like, we've got the Tech Prime Battle Cell, who's still very good, especially on the full, like, 200% Cell team, getting a lot of those links active. You've got the Cell Juniors, who, not the craziest in, like, the most difficult content that we have now, but on a team with a bunch of androids, like, if they've got the Artificial Lifeforms allies, they have a decent bunch of dodge. They can do additional attacks. They've got the crit as well. If you've got a perfect Cell, like, on the rotation, they have some orb changing. So they can be pretty good, especially in something like this, where EZAs, as we said, not super difficult events. So they could be very effective in here. So they're a good option. We've also got the Tech Androids. they're in desperate need of an EZA in terms of being competitive in the current meta, but again, for an Extreme Z battle, especially with the last 15 stages being AGL, plus these guys have the ability to just Ghost Usher straight away on the first turn, so you can make it so that the enemy isn't even attacking you on the first turn in an EZA. These guys get used in EZA teams when people are going past stage 30, like doing these crazy runs all the way up to stage 999. People are using these guys on the team, even not on the leader skill, because you can just put them in slot 3, use their active skill, they're not coming back again until turn 4, and in an Extreme Z battle you've usually won by then, right? So these guys are really good even if you're just using them for the Ghost Usher and being another Android Link partner. Obviously we can't forget about Texcell. Texcell with his Super EZA obviously hits like a truck. He'll probably be one of the best units on the team, if not the best, because of course the new cell is STR, and as we've already said, we can't use Extreme STR or Extreme Physical, so we can't use the new cell anyway. I mean, you could, again, but he's not going to do any damage. But Texcell will be doing tons of damage, healing you on Super. He will be an absolute MVP. He's like a go-to for the team, for sure. Then we have the Int Jiroan 19, another unit that not really usable in the really difficult content anymore, but they're supporting androids. If you're on low HP, they have a Scouter. They've got pretty decent defense after attacking, and they heal when they super. They're basically just a unit to be on there on the team, floating in slot 3 and giving support to all of the other android characters that you have like on the team, right? And then last but not least, for an honorable mention, is the free-to-play Android 16, the Super Strike one. This guy is a fairly decent like defensive unit with all allies in the same turn being Android/Cell Saga. Then he has the high chance to guard, which when he's guarding he has damage reduction. Obviously that chance could not proc and he could get slapped about a little bit, but as an option, like a final option for the team to be the 6th pick, right, if you don't have anyone else and you want to run that androids build, you could use this guy. Again, I would say depending on the setup. I mean, even with a team, as long as he fits under the lead, even with a team that is mostly full androids, if you don't have that 6th final option and you don't want to use this guy, even throwing characters on like that Int Super Saiyan 2 Gohan just for the support. Although, to be fair, he supports superclass allies, so I guess that doesn't really work. But if we take a look back at the category, you can kind of see the problem that we're talking about, right? I guess these guys could be good for supporting Extreme, the Extreme AGL friend summon androids. But yeah, it's like you can't use these guys, whereas you can't use Future Gohan, because again, you can, but he won't be doing any damage. He's okay defensively, but the 2 physical LRs really are just about damage, so there's no point using them. The physical Cell and Cell Juniors and the physical android, I guess the physical LR androids are providing support and they have the dodge chance as like their defense. They're just not going to be doing any damage. If you get them to exchange into 16, then obviously he'll be a really good tank, but just won't really be doing any damage. So it's really only the AGL and tech options. There's the base form Trunks. That was very an unimpressive like Dokkan Fest release, but if you're running the Super Trunks, more like super class build, then obviously he would be pretty decent on the team. There are quite a lot of extreme tech. Like if you have this Cell from the World Tournament, he's actually a really good support unit for the team. And then if you're running him and like the tech androids, LR Tech Cell, this Super EZA Tech Cell, if you have this guy, the 60% support, second form Cell, then obviously with that many extreme tech units on the team, he would be really, really good as well. But then that's it, because then we get down into like the extreme int characters can be usable, but none of them are like super standout, like apart from the support from like Jiroan 19. And then everybody else is in that bracket of like they can't really do any damage. So in terms of anyone here that would be super useful to run, I mean, I guess 18 gives support to the android team, but she won't be doing any damage. Super Vegeta is all about damage, and he won't be doing it. So yeah, there's not really anyone that stands out here as a character that, even though they're one of the typings that isn't going to be doing a lot of damage, they're still going to be super useful to run. I mean, Heart Virus Goku could be a decent slot 1 tank. I know he's quite old now, so even though Extreme Z battles are not as difficult, he is very, very old. When he gets an EZA, I imagine he's going to be a peak slot 1 unit, even in the current meta, as long as he gets a good EZA. So yeah, that kind of narrows it down. So we've gone over the top picks and honorable mentions. I do think the best build is probably going to be using the AGL cell and then just using a bunch of these android characters. The Prime Battle Cell is going to be really good. Obviously, Super EZA Cell will just absolutely destroy the stage. The Tech Androids with the Ghost Usher will be really effective, and then you can just throw on some of these other units to be supporting them, and then the team is going to look very, very good, and you should be able to get through the stages very easily. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. What is your team build going to look like for the Goku Gohan and AGL Cell Extreme Z battle? I won't be live in the morning tomorrow, but I will be obviously getting the units EZA'd and getting the showcases up tomorrow to see how they are looking. So let me know all your thoughts down below. Like I said earlier in the video, if there's any units you think I should have highlighted that would be good in this event that I didn't mention, do let me know down below in the comment section. And yeah, like I say, let me know what your team build is going to be for this EZA down below. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.